yesterday, if not a couple degrees worse. 98 for the high, will surge into the 90s very quickly. By lunch, should be there and stay there all afternoon. And that gives us 105 to 115 most of the afternoon with our heat index values. There's the sun. There's no influence from the clouds anymore. And now we're going to start to climb. We're up to 73, dew point is 64. And all that moisture and heat just comes back in from the south. You can see the northeast or east wind that we've had off those thunder showers have cooled us off into the 60s in some places. Once that line moves through, it took about 10 degrees off the temperature for almost everybody. But you can see some cooler or some warmer air down to the south, and then that's going to start to surge north here over the course of the day and just erase any of this cool air that we've had move in. So an east wind right now trying to gust into your 25 miles per hour. Muggy meter, somewhat enjoyable, but it's going to surge up into the steamy range. And this may even be a little bit underdone. Yesterday we were up here right around 80 with our dew point for several hours. So bank on that in some spots again today, especially if you're near high vegetation areas. Those could be outputting a little more moisture as well near cornfields and stuff like that. It's just going to be a humid one all the way around with the wind not really moving things around much. Satellite and radar showing us storms to the east moving out. There's the sunshine. We're going to surge. Notice the big jumps here from 9 to 10 up towards noon when we're up near 90 degrees, and then we top out at 98. Feels like number easily near 100 by noon, and then climbing greatly up near 115 at times into the afternoon. So the first Alert 6 weather days go for today, go for tomorrow for pretty much the same thing with the heat and those really high heat index values that, again, I think most of the afternoon are 100 to 150.
Ooh, my word. All right, you've also issued another First Alert 6 weather day for Wednesday, but this time it's not for the heat.
No, so storms overnight Tuesday night should take the heat out. The problem is I think they're going to linger into Wednesday morning now. So we have chances after 10 p.m. Tuesday night, a little spottier. I'm worried there may be some sort of a complex around from Wednesday morning. Severe or not, it could impact the morning drive pretty easily, but there could be some wind, some torrential rain, and maybe a little hail with that Wednesday morning. And then we'll see if we can get some afternoon development. So we'll assess Wednesday morning, see how things are, and see if we need to keep the first alert day going through the afternoon on Wednesday once we get there. Here's the severe weather risk. You can see it's not a great risk of severe weather, but this is for Tuesday. What this entails is 7 a.m. Tuesday morning all the way through 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. That's the 24-hour window, because oftentimes the storms that develop on Tuesday can linger overnight. So again, this could take us right into the morning at commute on Wednesday with some thunderstorms in the area. It's mostly a wind and a hail threat. I don't see any risk of a tornado, at least with the morning round. We'll see if we can redevelop stuff into the afternoon on Wednesday and add that to the equation. Then much cooler. Look at this. Shaving 20 degrees off things here. Thursday, Friday, Saturday into the weekend. Not often I get a round of applause for doing this job. But hey, you know what? I'll take it. Looks great.
Yes.
Take the humidity out of the air.
I cannot wait.
A lot of county fairs going on around.
Yeah.
I think the Sarpy County Fairs this weekend. You lucked out big time.
Oh, for sure.
So.
Oh, I can't wait for that. All right, we've been talking about those power outages. It could affect that morning commute and those traffic lights.
Yeah, we've started getting a few notifications of some different intersections that have those traffic lights not working properly. So let's look at where we're seeing some of those being in place this morning. That includes Blair High and Bennington Road, which a lot of traffic that makes its way through there. You can see both directions on Blair High. You're looking at some delays that are showing up periodically. So that's an area where you may get slowed down, use some extra caution, treat that as an all-way stop. And then we've had a number of intersections on Maple where we've had reports of that. Did have 72nd in Maple. You've heard that that is working again, so good news for that one. But you also have 78th in Maple, 88th in Maple, where you have the lights flashing in all directions, and you're seeing some of the delays through those intersections as a result. It's even impacting 90th in Maple. Now, the lights are working at 90th in Maple, but you're just kind of getting a domino effect from what's happening there at 88th in Maple, where people are stacking up approaching that light. So it might even be a good idea to pick a different east-west road than Maple with some of those light issues happening in that area. Not going to be confined completely to these areas. You know, Hanscom Park was still an area where we're seeing a fair number of power outages being in place. So you may come across intersections where the lights are flashing, the lights just aren't working at all. You want to treat any of those as all-way stops this morning, or photographer that was investigating some of these said he was seeing people that were not doing that. So don't be in that group. Aside from that, you can kind of see that we're picking up our traffic. We're getting some of those delays on I-80, but also some other spots where we're a little bit slow include a center right around the industrial area that split several spots where things are slow. I suspect we could have some power outage impacts maybe happening there with the pattern of how that's looking in that area. Haven't really had any notification of any crashes or anything yet, but I will keep an eye out for that. And if I hear any other intersections where we're seeing specifically the lights not working, of course, I'll pass that along, give you the first alert.
Okay, appreciate it, Jared. Thank you. All right, a reminder on this First Alert 6 weather day, the Salvation Army is opening 2 cooling centers for those seeking relief from the heat. The Kroc Center at 28th and Y will be open today and tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the North Core location at 24th and Pratt will be open today and tomorrow. That's from 8:30 to 4. Our air conditioners are getting quite the workout during the summer heat. Heating and cooling companies are expecting a jump in service calls this week, as you can imagine. The owner of Omaha Heating and Air Conditioning says one thing you can do to keep your home cool, make sure your AC filter is clean. Another tip, pay attention to your ceiling fans as well as the fan on your thermostat.
And then leave those ceiling fans and fan on the thermostat to the on position, because the more air we move, the more humidity we remove, and that'll help keep temperatures down in your home.
He says if your AC stops working, turn it off on your thermostat and contact your local service provider immediately. You can find more tips on how to stay safe in this heat on our website, firstalert6.com. Happening today, the hot weather not getting in the way of Omaha Native Days Festival. It celebrates North Omaha's cultural and historical legacy. Festival events go through next Monday. Continuing our First Alert 6 weather day coverage at the safety desk, I'm here with Maria Cade, who has some details on the long-term impact of all this heat that we've been experiencing, Maria.
Yeah, there's a new study that's out, and they're finding that extreme heat, it doesn't just make our skin age faster, you know, if you're out in the sun, but it actually can do the same for our entire bodies.
No.
So researchers looked at more than 3,600 people over 55 years old for this study. They found that people who experienced at least 140 days of a heat index over 90 degrees, they aged up to 14 months faster than people who did not experience that many, only 10 hot days every year. And they say that's actually about the same as the impact of smoking a lot or drinking a lot. So experts say accelerated biological aging like this, that can increase the risk of cancer, dementia, diabetes, and early death too.
So it's good to stay inside
Absolutely.
on days like today
like
if you
this.
don't have to get out.
Yes.
All right, Maria Kay from the safety desk this morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Taking a live look outside on this Monday morning. It just looks hot, doesn't it? Yeah. You guys, we're just getting started. This is actually the nice part of the day. We're going to crank up the heat once again to deal with that extreme heat. That's why this is a First Alert 6 weather day. Here's the thing. State baseball Legion play is going on right now, and these boys are out there playing in this all day long. Any ways to beat the heat? The sun's going to be shining, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm going to say, find ways to keep cool, but if you're playing and you keep winning, yeah, you're going to be out there on the field for a while.
Yeah.
And this heat. UV index is high, so don't forget about the sunscreen out there all day long today. And the feels like temperature is going to be up there. If you're heading to the pool, you got upper 90s both today and tomorrow. And that's going to feel like triple-digit heat all afternoon. So the concrete will get hot. Shade is the best option here. There's no more influence from those storms. The clouds are gone. The wind is starting to back off. We're at 73, and they just kind of grazed our area, sent a little cooler air our direction, and now the numbers are going to start to climb. There's some mid-70s down here. We'll just surge north and heat up as they move in, and a little bit of a southeast wind now at about, gusting up near 25 miles per hour in store. The muggy meter up here in the steamy range pretty much all day. Don't be surprised if it jumps up into the miserable range every now and then, and satellite and radar showing us the clouds and the thunderstorms have drifted off towards the south and out of here, and that's what it looks like on models. Doing a pretty good job. A little overdone on that cluster there by 9 o'clock, but it gives you an idea of what we can expect then into the afternoon. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures surging into the 90s. I think we can get to about 97, 98 in the metro and then start to fall back. If there's any new storms, they likely stay to our north overnight tonight and just kind of graze our northern counties. And overall, we'll fall down to near 80 by midnight, 1 o'clock, and then the early morning hours tomorrow start off in the mid-70s, reset it, and do it all over again. Here's today's heat index forecast up near 114, 115 for the afternoon high. We likely do it again on Tuesday as well. And then the severe weather risk area for Tuesday night after 10 o'clock, lasting into Wednesday morning's commute, where we could have some scattered showers and storms left over for the morning. That's why we made Wednesday morning a First Alert 6 weather day. You got the 60-mile-per-hour wind gust potential primarily, downpours and some hail. I'm not too worried about tornado threat, but the fact that we could have some storms around lining up for that morning drive on Wednesday has, this cluster moving through. Again, it varies by a few hours depending on what the model data is at that time, but it gives you a pretty good indication. I think we're going to have some of those moving through. To start off on Wednesday, we'll get those out of here fairly quickly, see if we can redevelop some into the afternoon with any energy left over, and then the cooler air really settles in. Thursday and Friday, upper 70s for afternoon highs and low humidity. Look at that overnight low by Friday morning down in the 50s.
I'm looking. I'm looking and I'm liking. So, Rusty, how long does this stretch of 70s, how long will it last?
I tell you what, it's not a short little blip.
Oh, really?
Which is good news. Even into the weekend looks really good. Right around 80 degrees Saturday and Sunday. I mentioned a lot of outdoor stuff this weekend. You got a lot of county fairs around the area, and
Native
just
Omaha
anybody
days
looking.
Yeah,
there you go. Native Omaha days, and it looks like by this upcoming early next week we'll try to rebound a little bit. But after we get through Tuesday, it does look immensely better and much more tolerable outside.
Thank goodness.
No kidding.
Oh, all right. You just made a lot of people's day with that forecast after Tuesday. Yeah. All right. You're still monitoring the traffic light situation. How are things going?
Yeah, so we've got a few of those that are things you're going to want to watch out for as you're heading out the door this morning. And as we look at how a lot of our main roads are moving, many of those are in pretty good shape. You can see Dodge there in the bottom two, 90th and 144th. No real problems there. We look good on I-80, at least as your expectation should be there in that construction zone. But it's more so like Maple and this intersection here, Blair High and Bennington Road, where you want to watch for some delays, as we're having some reports of those traffic lights malfunctioning there. It does look a little bit better right at Blair High and Bennington, but we get a little further to the south and you're going to notice here that we have a couple of these intersections still running pretty slow, and I think this is probably our biggest problem. One right now is 88th and Maple. You can see how both westbound and eastbound on Maple we're having things back up, and it's spilling into the intersection at 90th and Maple. So be ready for delays. Treat any of those intersections as all-way stops as you're heading out the door this morning. So as you're looking at the general traffic flow throughout the metro, you can see center does look look a little better. We were seeing some of those delays right near industrial, and that has eased up some. So a good sign there. A couple of spots on 370 where we're running a little bit slow, particularly as you're heading westbound, right around 36th or so. You've got another one as you're making your way around 120th or so. So a couple of spots that aren't quite up to speed in those areas, but most of the map is green, so that's a good sign. We haven't had any reports of crashes or anything at this point either. So if that does change, of course, we'll keep you first alerted with that, but we'll keep an eye on this traffic power outage situation here as we go through the rest of the morning.
All right, Jared, thank you. Well, in our Big Red Extra coverage, fall camp back in session for Husker football today. No more voluntary summer sessions. Players are now ramping up into what will be full contact practices. Head coach Matt Rule says he's demanding the best out of his guys as he enters year 3 at Nebraska.
It's time to perform. And so that's what I think we need for camp. We need urgency. We need intentionality. We need to know that hey, we're playing a good team. Game 1.
And week 1 comes quicker than usual. Thursday, August 28th against Cincinnati at Arrowhead Stadium. Also today, Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. That starts in Chicago. Rebecca Alec and Harper Murray representing the Big Red, along with first-year head coach Danny Busboom Kelly. Well, coming up, do you have a celebrity doppelganger? Well, these people sure do. We're going to have the latest on a big lookalike contest when First Alert 6 streaming returns. Welcome back, everybody. An Adam Sandler lookalike contest in Manhattan drew more than a dozen contestants.
Okay, let's take a look at the winner here. The contestants, they came out to make their best case as the best Sandler doppelganger. I think he's coming up here in a little bit. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Especially with the glasses.
Yeah.
So the contestants, they donned their favorite Sandler look. Some of them, his role in Happy Gilmore to Little Nicky, even Saturday Night Live. The prize, though, $50 in a jar of pickles.
I will say no to that guy. But that guy, yes.
A jar of pickles?
Yeah, $50 too.
All right.
Of course, this comes just in time for the release of the highly anticipated Happy Gilmore 2 film on Netflix.
Yes.
Can't see it in the theaters.
You started to watch it, but
I watched it, I chose sleep about halfway through.
that's what we tend to do on this shift. That's what we tend to do.
Well, how about to beat the heat? A nice drink. McDonald's is expanding its beverage menu.
Don't these just look cool?
Yeah.
So the company says it will test 10 specialty drinks in early September, so we're going to have to wait. They're inspired by drinks from their chains Cosmics, the spin-off restaurants. They didn't do too well, but they're going to take those drinks anyway. They include a strawberry watermelon refresher. We could certainly use that
Yes,
today.
we need it.
A Sprite Lunar Splash, Ditto, and creamy vanilla cold brew. All these sound great to me. So they're only going to be available at about 500 locations. Finger crossed they make their way here.
I know.
Yeah.
So the Cosmics restaurants, those flamed out?
I think they all
I think
closed.
Then they
down.
saved, okay.
But they want to, but the beverage,
Concoctions?
yes, those are doing very well.
Okay.
In all markets. And so people are like embracing those.
Cool.
Well, people love those like specialty drinks. So
The
I think
refreshers
they'll
and the
do-
coffees, those are doing
do really
great. So that's
well.
smart of them
Yeah.
to do that.
So it's the McSpecialty menu.
Yes.
There you go.
Were you holding that? You were waiting on that?
Just sitting
You
there,
were waiting
just
on
in
that.
the
Okay,
shadows
I'm not
and-
mad. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today Show. Of course, you can watch it here on streaming or you can watch it over the air. We sure hope you have a great morning and a wonderful week. All right, breaking news, everybody. Many of you waking up in the dark this morning due to power outages across the metro. We're taking a live look right now at the OPPD outage map. Nearly 2,000 customers are without power, most of them in Douglas County. Well, good morning to you, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole. We do want to get right to First Alert 6 traffic. Jared's letting us know how those outages are impacting that morning commute.
Yeah, a lot of those outages are kind of centered around the Hanscom Park area, but we've got pockets elsewhere, and we're seeing some traffic light issues at a few intersections. That includes Blair High and Bennington. You can see some of the delays in each direction there. And we've had a handful along Maple. Now we've gotten 72nd and Maple back up and running normally, so good news there. But 78th and Maple, 88th and Maple, both intersections that are being impacted. And some of those delays are spilling into 90th and Maple, even though the lights are working properly there. So be prepared for that. Any intersections you may come across this morning that don't have the lights working correctly, you want to treat those as all-way stops and be ready for delays. That's really our biggest problem early this morning, though. You can see a lot of the rest of the metro is moving along pretty well with not much in the way of incidents. Rusty.
Thanks, Jarrett. And unfortunately, we're resetting it and doing it all over again today. 98 for the high. First Alert 6 weather day continues today. We go 97 tomorrow. Pretty much the same story. Notice storm chances, though, after 10 o'clock Tuesday night. These have been trending later and later, more so into Wednesday morning even, to the point where we made this a First Alert 6 weather day, too, because of the morning round of storms. Severe or not, I'm worried about them having big impacts to the morning commute. We'll see how it goes, but in the meantime, we've had a little influence off some storms to our east overnight, and it's brought some cooler air into our area. So low 70s to start off. It shaved about 10 degrees off the temperature when that cooler air rushed out, brought some wind, knocked out power in some areas. There weren't really any storms in the metro. It was the wind off of the storms to the east. And now the muggy meter up in the steamy range. Heat index forecast is going to surge up into the triple digits, stay there all afternoon, 100 to 115 it looks like in the afternoon hours on Monday, Tuesday, and then into early Wednesday. Potential there for some thunderstorms in the morning, maybe even a little afternoon redevelopment as well. And then much cooler to end the week. We're back in about a half hour.